Good afternoon and evening, everyone. Welcome to Omega's Monday Night Insights. So happy to be here. It's been a while since I've been on. Thank you all for your patience. Happy New Year since we haven't done that. Look, I wore green today for St. Patrick's Day with my little charms. Um, Tonight's topic, what I wanted to talk about, obviously, is St. Patrick. Here we are with St. Patrick. And the fascinating thing is, not many people know the whole journey about St. Patrick and how does St. Patrick actually tie into personal growth, which is what we do here at Omega. So I want to just do a nice little introduction on practicing to do podcasts. You have to do your little introduction. So tonight we're going to talk about St. Patrick's Day. Since it is St. Patrick's Day, we're going to talk about St. Patrick and go a little bit deeper behind the man, behind the legend. Most people associate St. Patrick with St. Patrick's Day, but do they understand why he became a saint? And realize that he is someone who actually embodies resilience, transformation, and self knowledge. So, the question, what can the life of St. Patrick teach us about our own journey of self discovery? Well, I can tell you when I was a younger child, St. Patrick was, yay, let's drink green beer. That's not who St. Patrick is, and by all means, nor is it anything to do with self knowledge and self awareness. That's not anything he stood out for. So, before we can explore the personal development side of his story, let's set the stage. St. Patrick wasn't actually Irish. What? Yes, St. Patrick was not Irish. He was actually born in Britain in the late 4th century. As a teenager, he was kidnapped by Irish raiders and taken to Ireland as a slave. He spent 6 years in captivity, tending sheep, isolated and all alone. I did not know that about him. Now, during that time, something profound happened to him. Patrick, he turned inward. Since he was all by himself and alone, he just went for an inner journey. He later described this as his own solitude, that he developed a deep spiritual connection. He began to pray, reflect, and listen to his own inner voice. And then came a turning point. He had a dream that guided him to escape. And he followed that vision, made his way back to Britain, and eventually trained to become a priest. But instead of staying home in the safety of Britain, he made a very radical choice. He returned back to Ireland, back to the land of his captivity, to bring knowledge, transformation to others. Now, I find that inspiring um, when I think about that story of the years of suffering. He went back to the place where he was suffering to help bring knowledge and transform individual. So pause for a moment and think about the role of solitude in self knowledge. You've heard me talk about this at a great deal in Omega, how solitude, those quiet moments, that's where we can find answers to things that we're struggling with. We can find our peace, our joy. It's in those quiet moments. And when we have such a busy world, it's hard to focus in on those quiet moments. You know, and for Patrick's early years, he was forced into solitude from a teenage years, being kidnapped. He was forced, and it must have been terrifying, cut off from his family, enslaved in a foreign land. But it was the solitude that helped. It had a way of stripping away any distractions and forcing himself to confront himself, essentially. So, how often do we give ourselves space to sit in silence and truly listen? Now, you can probably see my meditation cushion is in the corner. I make it a habit every day to sit there, not just sit there, but sit in silence. Sometimes I'll go through a meditation, sometimes I'll just do deep breathing. But the intention is not to be, oh, look at me, I'm a guru. It's to be able to connect. It's the ability to go within and look for, be at peace, find knowledge, wisdom, inspiration, guidance. In the newsletter I sent out, I mentioned how we've gone through some hardships this year. We've lost a few loved ones and traveling for the funerals and flu and you name it, blah. And having the ability to sit and think and contemplate what are the lessons helps me stay peaceful and centered and focused and not get wrapped up in the trauma and drama of it all. So I've already mentioned, in this very noisy, fast paced world, solitude can sometimes be uncomfortable. Yet that's where self knowledge begins. And just like Patrick, our greatest insights often come when we're alone with our thoughts. That is one of the reasons why I love meditation and have been practicing it for almost 40 years. So if you feel like you're stuck or lost, take a moment and reflect. It's a great question. When was the last time that you embraced silence and allowed your inner voice to speak? I mean, there are some people that I know that sit and journal. I have journal cards where I'll pull a card someday and I'll just write and journal. That's a nice place to be alone with your own thoughts as well. Now, if I want to get back to St. Patrick here, the idea is that another lesson that we can learn is Patrick's story is how he transformed his suffering into purpose. He could have been bitter and remained angry and upset, but instead he turned his experience and used it to fuel his mission. He looked at it and said, this is an opportunity for me to do good. Personal growth isn't avoiding hardships. You know that. I'm going to tell you that every time we talk in the classroom. It's not about avoiding hardships. It's not about sidestepping them. It's about using them as stepping stones. Every hardship that comes to us, every obstacle that we encounter, it can weigh us down or it can help lift us up. We can climb on top of it and have a new perspective. So many of transformative leaders, many leaders in history have taken their deepest wounds and turned them into a source of wisdom for others. Nelson Mandela comes to mind. He's the one who is so associated with the poem Evicticus. The whole entire poem just is very moving to me. So that next question, I would say, what challenges in your life can you reframe them as opportunities for growth? How can your struggles shape a new purpose for you? As I mentioned, we had hardships this beginning of the year, and I can't believe it's already March. And how does it shape me? Well, I've spent the last couple of weeks being grateful for the moments I do have and making sure I tell the people that I love in my life that I love them, and spending quality time with individuals, not quantity, but actual quality time, even if it's just to sit and listen to someone tell me a story or giggle with my grandson on the phone as he's showing me all his toys that he has. It's being present. If anything, that's the thing. And I know we've talked about this, but it was a nice reminder, I'm going to say, that the year events have given me an opportunity to think about being more mindful in the present moment. Then, one of the most fascinating points of St. Patrick's story is his willingness to return to Ireland. Imagine facing the very people who enslaved you, not with anger, but with a desire to help them grow. I need more water. It is water, not beer. So imagine facing, as I said, imagine facing the people who enslaved you, not with anger, but wanting to help them. I think this takes extraordinary level of self-awareness and forgiveness. So I believe St. Patrick really did embody the act of forgiveness. He embodied it in his words and actions. In our own lives, we often try to run from the past, but sometimes real transformation happens when we face head on, which we've already talked about that. Whether it's a difficult conversation, a difficult relationship, an old fear, or a part of ourselves that we've neglected. Going back to a new perspective can be a key to personal growth. So you might ask, which part of your past might be calling you to revisit, not with fear, but with wisdom? Take a moment and think about what are the things in my past that perhaps are holding us back. So again, as we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, let's go beyond the parades and the green attire, but really think a little bit more on his reflection of the journey. Think about his solitude, his self discovery, and his transformation and courage. Um, so here's a challenge I'm going to put out to you this week until the next time we talk. Take 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. I said 15, but I'm going to back it down to 10 to sit in silence. No phone, no distractions, just you, your thoughts, and an open heart, and see what insights arise. Maybe like Patrick, you'll hear a call that leads you towards growth. So again, I'll emphasize one more time. I'm going to challenge you that within the next 2 weeks before our coffee talk, which at coffee talk in 2 weeks, we're going to talk about the power of silence and sitting in silence. But sit for 10 minutes. Just sit for 10 minutes. No phones, no TV, no entertainment, nothing. Just sit for 10 minutes, even if it means go sit outside while you drink your cup of coffee in the morning, listen to the birds, or just sit. If you happen to have a meditation chair, sit in your office, sit it in your room, in your living room. Don't turn anything on. Just sit for 10 minutes. Put a timer on your phone and sit for 10 minutes and just be. Just be. That's going to be my challenge for you. So thank you for joining me this evening. I truly hope this episode resonated with you, and I hope to see you for more insights. So thank you. Until next time, thank you for keeping the spirit of Omega alive. Bye now.